Welcome back. Glad to have you. Um, this is the Love for the Game Fantasy Football League draft that we're doing. It's one quarterback, two running back, two receiver, one tight end, one flex, defense, and a kicker. Let me show you the scoring here. So the scoring here, start from up here. The scoring here, we've got for all the touchdowns that you'll see in this league are worth 6 points. The normal stuff that you see in leagues where it's like passing yards is 25 yards, it's a point, and then like rushing and receiving yards is 10 yards equals that point. That's point per reception. Each group has bonuses, so like if you get 300, 399 is a point, 400 passing yard game is 2 points, and then rushing and receiving 100 to 199 is 1, and 200 plus is 2. You also have the miscellaneous stuff like the 2-point conversions, especially, and also on defense you have like safeties, 2-point conversion returns, things like that. Speaking of defense, a lot of leagues will go with the 10 points. For us, it's only the 5 points to start. It goes 4, 3, 2, 1, based on the 1 to 6, 7 to 13, 14 to 20, 21 to 27, 28 to 34, and 35 out. We've added some stuff for our league that's over the years. It's been kind of nice. If you get a 3 and out, basically on the first possession, it's 0.25 points. Fourth down stop, if they go for it, is 0.5, so it's not as much. Tackles, pass defended, tackles for loss. If you do an average, if you average it out, take the total number divided by the number of games. With this style of points for 0.004, it's basically like a point. So maybe even 2 points. So it's not too much. It doesn't take too involved into defense, but it's kind of nice. It balances it out. So they still get points for fumble recoveries, a block kick, sack, interceptions, safeties, 2-point conversions, etc. I forgot to mention, we do have interception for QBs is -1, a pick 6 for -4, based on the original. For some of the leagues, do a 4-point touchdown. Figured a pick 6, something on the lines of that. So all that. Next is the kicking, which it's simple. You make a kick, make a field goal, or make a point, extra point, it's 1 point. Miss an extra point, it's -1 point. Okay, it's like miss a field goal, it's -1. But with the making a field goal, it's like 0 to 19 is 2 points, 20 yards, basically to 39 yards is 3, 40 to 49 is 4, 50 plus is 5. So that's basically it for the codes there. So we kind of already did the draft already, which you'll see here in this upcoming little segment. We'll just go through some of our post-commentary stuff of what we thought during that time, what we received during text messages and things like that. So that being said, hope you guys enjoy, hope you like it, and who knows, maybe you can cheer for your favorite players or something. So if you can, hit a like, subscribe if you're new. You can even leave a comment of which team you like the best even. So that being said, let's get started. Okay, so here we are at the draft. Okay, here we are at the draft. It's a 12-team league. Whiteout 43 is going to be picking first, followed by Witch Nasty, then Matty Ice, then Kyle Knowles, the biggest, baddest goat, rugged and out, game over for you, why not this, Skull for life, Pancakes, the Panda Man, and Bird of Bites. We determined the draft order in this, so to find that out, you go into go in to watch the last video on the draft order. That's to find out. So I have the first pick, and with the first pick, I took Tyreek Hill. To me, I felt like that was the best position. When doing a whole bunch of mocks, I found that I could still get good running backs later on, but not as many receivers later on. So I felt that this was the pick for me to go to. To me, I still think Tyreek's the best receiver in the league, and great addition for my team. Next is Witch Nasty here. So Witch Nasty is our defending champion here. So he won it last year by a point in our league, and is looking to defend that title here. So in this case, he's using all of the time here. So he's got Christian McCaffrey still on the board. He's got CD Lamb here. Justin Jefferson is a good thought as well. Like, yes, I understand he's got a bad QB and all that, but he's still dominant. He had four different quarterbacks and still put up 1,000 yards. To me, isn't going to be any different. It's Sam Darnold. Yes, we haven't seen him perform as much. He starts out hot usually, but then falls at the end. However, as far as I remember, he hasn't really had like a top-notch receiver, especially a superstar one. And I still think JJ will finish top 12 receiver. So, but in this case, time is up. And the pick is CD Lamb. CD Lamb's going to be a nice one here. As one of the top, from doing some research, top 5 easy schedule. And then easy layup pick for Matty Ice and Christian McCaffrey. Kyle goes Bijan for the reports. Bijan, um, from the reports, was going to be used as kind of a bell cow similar to Christian McCaffrey. They wanted to put more touches in his hands. He wasn't used properly last year and still finished as the RB9. So imagine using being used property is still that's going to be nasty this year. So that's a nice upside pick too. So in this case, JJ, the biggest, baddest goat, the one thing about him is he's a Vikings fan. So I mean, Justin Jefferson is still in the outcome for that. Jamar Chase, yes, he still hasn't gone back to practice yet, but I still believe that he'll still play, and Joe Burrow will target him a ton. Um, excuse me here. You still got Amon St. Brown, who I believe is a safe pick. Brees Hall is still going to be up there too. Brees Hall, like with Aaron Rodgers, reminds me of Aaron Jones in a little bit. Kind of a big injury here and there, but still, he likes the running backs. He includes him in the office. They're going to drive down the field. He's going to get a lot of touchdowns. We'll come back with the receptions. I think that'll be dialed down just a little bit, but because that'll probably go to Garrett Wilson. So about 6 seconds here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The pick is Justin Jefferson. All right, so Justin Jefferson went off the board, and next is rugging it out. Let's see what he has up his sleeve this time. And this draft can get crazy sometimes too, like what we see here. He goes Saquon Barkley. I could see that, him being in the top, maybe top 3 as a running back, just based on the fact that last year the Eagles drove down the field, and DeAndre Swift couldn't get into the end zone, and a lot of times he'd get stuck at the 1, and Jalen Hurts had to run it in. But I think Barkley could steal a lot of those touchdowns back and still be a top 5 running back. Brees Hall was picked next by Game Over For You, who was a 2-time champion in this league, or 3-time. I have to double check. But next is why not this? Why not this is on the clock? You know, there's still some good ones here. Jamar Chase is still intriguing. Amon St. Brown. I've seen some of his mocks before, and he's chosen St. Brown in a lot of this. But in this case, he goes Jamar Chase. I don't know if Jamar Chase has been on the board, but Skull for Life is like, did let me know. He's like, dude, like I can't believe St. Brown fell to me. I'm picking him right away, because otherwise it would have been Garrett Wilson that would have been the pick for him. Next is Pancakes. XX Pancakes XX is how it goes, but Pancakes is just a funny name, man. So we even got into a debate, or just a little thing, which is kind of funny, where it's like pancakes or waffles and things like that. So he goes to Jonathan Taylor. Interesting pick here. I thought it was interesting, but he's still a good running back and still going to be out on the field. He's going to get a lot of work still. Payne the Man is our new guy. He is a rookie here in our league. He just started. Of course, we all welcome him with open arms. He picks A.J. Brown, which is going to be nice. Former Titan. I'm a big Titans guy. Former Titan. He's still going to be good. He's a good football player. Now we got Birds of Bites. He's got the end of the turn. Let's see what he does for the back half here. You still got Garrett Wilson. Oh, he went Jahmyr Gibbs and then Marvin Harrison. Marvin Harrison's going to be intriguing. I don't know, as a wide receiver one. Who knows? If he's anything like his dad, he'll call for the ball a lot, but then he'll be super quiet. A.J. Brown followed by Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson, I think, should take a big increase this year. Right now, Panda Man's team's looking pretty strong. Next, we have Pancakes. Who's he going to pair up with Jonathan Taylor here? Pancakes has been growing and growing as a fantasy football player each year. He's taking a big step. Um, let's see, about a minute left. He's still got Kyron. There's Puka. There's Devontae Adams, Travis Etienne, Drake London. You can't go wrong with either pick here. My preference, I like doing the running back heavy to start, but in this case, I took Tyreek Hill. But usually it's like running back heavy because a lot of running backs can be valuable, and I could get some good receivers later. However, like it's harder when you have in my opinion, just from doing this after experience, is it's hard to be at the beginning of the round or the end of the round because then you have to wait so long, and a lot of players can get sniped at that time. But like I feel like I do best towards the middle of the draft because like okay, I know who I can snipe. It's not really as great because it's like it's not as bad because it's like okay, I'm not going to get sniped at so many players compared to I'm getting sniped at the turns or like the first pick or the 12th pick. So um, okay, so he goes Puka Nakua here in this situation. Puka should still have a pretty good year. I don't know if it's going to be I don't know if it's going to be. I mean, well, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I mean, he's still top 10. Yeah, I could see that. Top 10, top 12 for sure. Maybe. But I still think Cooper Cup is going to be involved a lot here. Um, so next, go for life. He's got St. Brown. He's going with Kyron Williams. It's a good pick as well. I mean, averaging about 20 a game. Yes, he's gonna hurt with the injuries, but who knows? He could be targeting for Corum here in the later rounds here. Uh, Next is Derrick Henry. He comes back. Why not this? Goes with Derrick Henry. I think that's a good pick. Um, if it's stretching, I don't know. But I know that he's going to get a majority of the carries. It's going to be hard to stop, I think, in my opinion, hard to stop Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson at the same time. And when they go to the goal lines, it's going to be a truck running through, basically. Um, Next is game over for you. He's got Brees Hall to start. Um, Still got Devontae Adams and Travis Etienne, Drake London, and he goes with Etienne. I've heard reports about Etienne being used less, just a little bit, just to keep some, um, to use less and kind of like, what the coach says, but like use some of it, like take some of the value just away a little bit. Next, we also kind of have a little surprise draft in Josh Jacobs. Even though like he's still going to get a majority of the work, he always starts out pretty strong for what I've seen. Um, I He should fit the Aaron Jones role kind of nicely, and now he's got Jordan Love commanding the quarterback. It's still going to be a good quarterback. I think Love has figured it out and is going to go in. Next is Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce going here, first tight end off the board here. I mean, he's been consistent. The one thing that scares me about Travis Kelce is he has come out and said himself that um, he might cut back on his like target stuff just to wear and tear, just to save himself for the playoffs, because they're going to make the playoffs and things. And then at Achan, high goes to Kyle. High pick next. High upside, can easily average 50 a game if he wants to. Um, but the only thing is his injuries. Okay, injuries is kind of a little bit of a scare. Um, but who knows? He could have bulked up and taken a step forward this year. So Matty Ice is next. Matty Ice has won this league a couple times as well. When doing the compared, because we were on ESPN before, now we're at Sleeper, combining all the leagues, he's had the highest winning percentage in this league, and he's been around for a while. So he's been pretty smart on his picks. Next, let's see where he goes for this round. He's got 22 seconds to go here. Um, So 18, 16, 15, just checking out some stuff. Like I'm just moving the mouse, just check out for stuff. He picks Drake London. I think that's a good pick, especially Kirk Cousins coming around. He's finally going to get a quarterback who's going to chuck in the ball. Usually when uh, Kirk Cousins like high powers in offense is usually like a receiver, a running back that flourishes, and a tight end that flourishes. So it's like Jordan Reed, Deshaun Jackson, for instance, even Pierre Garcon when he was with Washington. Next, going to uh, excuse me. Next, with Minnesota, for instance, going with like JJ or Adam Thielen or Stephon Diggs or even in this case Dalvin Cook, T.J. Hawkinson, Irv Smith Jr. at that time, still pretty good. So I think like London and Pitts could be interesting. I don't know how he's going to be. I don't know if his leg is going to be fully healed or not for Kirk Cousins. Anyway. So next, auto draft Devontae Adams. I think he's going to get a lot of action. I don't know. Like he'll finish as a wide receiver too for sure. This case, Chris Olave was still here for my pick, so I was like, I never get Chris Olave. I hardly ever get Chris Olave's, and he's caught a lot of passes. Michael Thomas is gone, so I picked him. And then I've been eyeing Pacheco the whole time in this draft. I thought he would take a big step. Yes, P. Ryan doesn't scare me as much in the backfield. Yes, he'll get a lot of those targets that McKinnon has left. Next, the tight end goes out the board, and Sam Laporta finishes number one tight end. I think he'll have a regression last year. It just doesn't seem as bad, but I still think he'll finish a top four tight end. Next is Nico Collins, which scares me a little bit, but I know if one of those guys gets hurt, that he will flourish. And Tank Dell has gotten hurt a lot, so I could see that pick happening a little bit. Next is Cooper Kupp, which if Cooper Kupp is Cooper Kupp for years before, this is a steal of a pick. I mean, basically a guy going in the back. I would think goes in the back half of the first round or second round, drops down to the third. But that's only if Cooper Kupp is Cooper Kupp. But as long as that offense together, they're going to throw the ball a lot. I'm just checking at this case, like checking all like the players still on the board. Shaun White still here, James Cook, Joe Mixon, Kamara. Next is Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk still finishes the top 13 receiver, so coming back as a wide receiver too, possibly with the chance of getting more work, is still kind of nice. Next is Mark Andrews, who average points per game the past couple of years has been high up there, especially with Kelsey. He just can't stay healthy. But still, it's going to be a nice addition. He's going to start out hot as usual. Now, game over for you is up on the clock next. Usually, there's times he goes three running backs right away, but this case, it's Mike Evans. He's still here. One thing that's consistent is three things consistent: death, taxes, and Mike Evans getting 1,000 yards and multiple touchdowns. Um, so, and he has had like double-digit touchdowns in 4 of the last 5 years. So I mean, it's still going to be nice. I don't. Will he get that? Possibly. The first 5-6 weeks of the season for the Bucks are just insane. Or like when it's like top, it's the top. It's the easiest. And being a deep ball receiver like deep ball receiver, and Baker Mayfield being a deep ball like thrower, to me it's still gonna be hard to stop. So and a lot of this is where like a lot of his games were double digit points. So I mean you're still getting there. It's still gonna be nice. Um, he's been A consistencies in some other places when you do some research, like for some of those that do consistency. And A is still pretty good. Um, excuse me here. Next is why not this? He's got Jamar Chase. He's got Derrick Henry. Where does he go here? Does he go Stephon Diggs, Deebo Samuel, Jalen Waddle? Does he go back for like a Rashad White or a James Cook or um, see even an Alvin Kamara? Um, so I mean, oh, he goes Stephon Diggs. I don't know how I feel about it. Uh, I mean, Stephon Diggs. I don't know. Stephon Diggs. I still think is a great receiver. Um, are you going to be able to, as Houston, are you going to be able to um, breathe? Are you going to be able to like sustain three receivers? And like I said, it could be that one of them gets hurt, and Diggs all of a sudden is Stephon Diggs. Scares me a little bit, but who knows? I'm hopefully wrong about Houston's receiving core. I still think they win the division and stuff, but they're still gonna throw for a lot. Next is Go for Life. He's kind of bounces and then picks Deebo Samuel. That's going to be interesting here since Ayuk is back. Usually he goes for like double-digit games. He's gone for 30-point games, but a lot of those times, like he's a B consistency for what I'm seeing. But a lot of these times, like he's gone for like single-digit scores. And but then again, too, if one of them gets hurt, for what I've seen for this offense, if one of those star receivers gets hurt, like if Kittle gets hurt and he's out for a week, or if like Alvin or Brandon Ayuk is out for one of those weeks, then Deebo Samuel or whoever else is there is gonna go off. Like both receivers or both of the other guys get that uptake in volume, especially with Christian McCaffrey being there. Could get that uptake in volume here. Next is Pancakes, and he goes with Pat Mahomes. I can see Pat Mahomes like, yes, it was hard last year without Tyreek Hill. They're still looking for that receiver. They wanted to go with Kadarius Toney, that didn't work, and now they found one with Rashee Rice, and he just dominated. And I could see him going a lot this year. I could see Mahomes going to him a lot this year, um, and picking up right where he left off, basically. Um, Next goes Josh Allen. He's still pretty good. Um, Josh Allen's still pretty good here. Still going to be a top 3 quarterback. I think it's gonna drop a little bit due to the different offensive coordinator here, and I still think he'll throw for 4,000 yards and things, and I still think he's going to run a lot. Um, but so right now, I mean, the upside here, if you want like a top 6 quarterback, um, in situations. If you're looking for points, you want that top 6 quarterback, and getting Josh Allen still finishes the top three QB is still pretty solid. Jalen Waddle, I like Jalen Waddle. I know he's been wearing that red contact jersey, but he wore it a lot last year too, and still finished with 1,000 yards. I don't think that changes. DJ Moore is intriguing too. Can they take that big step forward? He's still going to get a lot of work, I think. Even with the bad quarterback play, he still finishes um, a running or a wide receiver too. So in this case, picking him at 3 is still pretty solid. Um, Finally, we get a running back off the board here, Rashad Wright. So far, Panda team here, looking pretty solid still. Um, so next up, Pancakes is back around. We see Taylor, Nakua, Mahomes. Pittman's still here. Metcalf is here. Neighbors, Smith. You still got James Cook. You still got Mixon here on the board. Kenneth Walker, Kamara. Um, so he's got about 36. So I'm sure there's still a ton of good value out here, and he's looking to find out who is he going to pick next. So about 25 seconds here to go in that draft. So if you're enjoying this video right now, just leave a like, leave a subscribe, hit the subscribe button, leave some comments, we're looking to grow as a channel, this is something new for us, like doing YouTube and things. So it's pretty cool. Yes, I know I'm still not very good, still working at it, but slowly but surely. That's how it happens. And Kamara gets picked off the board. A big reach in this situation. However, he's undervalued. Yes, he's not the greatest. Like he feels like it's like, I don't know. But yes, he missed the 3 games with suspension and then another game with an injury. He get those suspension games back. He finishes as the R. He's on pace to finish as the RB2, and then if he goes down, let's just say he takes a big step back, he can finish as a 12, and that's still like a running back 1, even a running back 2 here in this situation. So I mean, his team's not bad to start off with. We'll see on his receiver count as he goes down the list here. Next is Skull for Life. We got St. Brown, we got Kyron Williams, we got Deebo Samuel, a lot of high upside guys here, and a lot of safe. There's some safe floor here as well. He balances it out with James Cook. I could see him taking a step forward, especially with a lot of the targets being vacated. Some of those can go to the tight end, and especially the running back position. Now, the only exception, the only thing that scares me a little bit is, can he hang on to that football? How is this coach going to handle him losing the rock? Okay. Is the backup running back going to have to go in here? Is there going to be more passes to more receivers to keep it away from Cook? If that's the case, we don't know. But still, Cook seems like a solid pick here. Um, and there's a big chance for a breakout season, in my opinion. So now we got Chase, we got Henry, and we got Diggs here. Now, I probably, in my opinion, would go a a high value. Could be a tight end here. There's still McBride's still on the board here. Otherwise, you could still go with like Jalen Hurts, or even if you're looking for a receiver at this point. I should have taken a look on the other thing here. I mean, excuse me here. I don't remember off the top of my head who's the receivers in this situation. Um, But the receiver, I mean, yeah, here we go. Like Pittman. Pittman to me, or Metcalf would be a pick I would do here, especially like if both Pittman or Metcalf play out more and do better than Diggs has, and Diggs goes down to a wide receiver 3. I mean, it still cancels out. It's like, oh, this guy finishes a 2, wide receiver. He's drafted a wide receiver 2, finishes as a wide receiver 3. But this guy's drafted as wide receiver 3, finished wide receiver 2. It still cancels out. In this case, he goes Jalen Hurts. That's a good pick as well. A lot of touchdowns. He drives up the field a lot. Yes, they switched up some stuff, but I still don't see. I see him adjusting, and I see him running for the ball, and I think he'll do fine. Um, so we got game over for you next year in this situation. Uh, Pittman's still here. Metcalf's still here. You still got Mixon here. You still got um, Malik Davis still here. You got so he's going to take a QB as well and go with Lamar Jackson, MVP front runner last year. Scares me a little bit, but I think he should be fine, especially with like Derrick Henry coming into town. More focus on Derrick Henry allows him to get open with Andrews or with Flowers or with Bateman, or even dump it off to like Justice Hill or something. Um, and CJ Stroud goes off the board. Now, CJ Stroud's a top 5 quarterback. I just don't see it. I don't see it, but he's so much fun. The upside's there. I just, I, oof, that's just rough for me. That is a rough pick for me, but it all depends. Like I said, I'm not, it's not their team. It's not my team. It's their team. And there could be a lot of upside here as well. It all depends on scheduling too. So, string of quarterbacks go off the board here. Still got some pretty good receivers here at this point. Still got Michael Pittman, DK Metcalf here. But some running backs too, like Tony looks like could use a running back here, especially with Joe Mixon, Kenneth Walker, Aaron Jones. Um, I can see if a string of quarterbacks still goes off, there's still Anthony Richardson here, Joe Burrow, Dak Prescott, Jordan Love. Like they could reach on some things too. Who knows? Um, and he goes Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker is an interesting pick. I mean, 15. He's 15 uh, 15 games the past 2 years, 15 games apiece, and still finished as a running back too. But they came out and said that they want to get him more touches in the passing game. So who knows? He could end up going to a 1, especially if he can stay healthy. Next, Kyle balances it out with Michael Pittman. I believe that's a good pick, and potentially get him to a wide receiver 1 as well. Um, Next, we have Matty Ice. So far he's got 2 receivers. He's got Christian McCaffrey. He could end up going Joe Mixon here. I would think he would do something like that, but then again, he could do hero RB. Sometimes a hero RB strategy, which for those that don't know, is drafting a star running back and then picking like receivers or like 3 receivers and like a tight end or QB and follow back with a running back in the late rounds. Um, so this case, I trust his smarts in this situation. He just like everyone else here, they know what they're doing. About 25 seconds here. So, still going strong. Let's see here. 15. We got the 14. We got 13s. We got the 12s, 11s, the 10s, 9s. It's getting down the last 10 seconds. Who is he going to pick? Oh, he picks Metcalf. Metcalf as a wide receiver 3 is a steal. Next at the auto draft was Mixon. Now, I would have, if Mixon was here, I would have went Mixon. Now, usually in this part of the draft, when I do mocks, sometimes I like to go running back or wide receiver, then 2 running backs, followed by a tight end, and then a running back, or like Alvin Kamara. In this case, like Trey McBride. I was strongly considering Trey McBride here, especially I picked him up last year from the waiver wire, and I mean my team jumped up with points per game tremendously because of him. Now this is a little hard for me because usually I'm picking in the mock drafts. Cook is always there. Mark Walker sometimes switches. Mix is still here. Kamara is still here. Cook is still, like just the last 4 running backs. It's like okay, I can see them picking this value. Now to me, it's like okay, I need running backs in this situation, or do I go 2 running backs? I know I'm picking another running back. Now, do I go with a running back or a tight end? So instead of 3 running backs, or in this case, now in this case, I go Aaron Jones. I didn't want to go Aaron Jones. He's injury prone. I know he's going to get a ton of work, especially with Sam Darnold there, because it's still there. Like with their offense, it does running back heavy. Now I'm still thinking about it. I'm still thinking, do I still go with my tight end here, or do I go with a guy like DeAndre Swift or James Conner? In this case, I chose James Conner as a wide receiver, as a running back 3. I'm cool with that. And then Malik Neighbors goes off the board next, which then leaves a couple things. McBride is still on the board here. I could see him going down that route. Now he's got 3 receivers, which don't I don't know if he'd go back with another receiver. It's possible. It is very possible he can do that. Still run the higher RB strategy. Otherwise, David Montgomery is still here. We still don't know the certainty of Swift. Stevenson ain't bad here too as a running back too. Yeah. But let's see what he chooses. He's got 50 seconds to the side. Just a lot more. Uh, it's gotten with the drafts. I should say it's gotten a little bit longer. Usually, some of these finish in about an hour. But in this case, it's going to be a lot longer. Um, but some of these players, the guys have studied up basically and have gotten a lot better. Oh, excuse me here. So I'm still looking at some of the things on the board here. Um, could he go quarterback here too? Like I said, um, there's still uh, there's still Richardson on here. There's still Burrow. There's still Dak. There's still Kyler Murray. There's still Jordan Love. Like in this case, he goes Dalton Kincaid, a guy who could have a breakout year, and especially a lot of the targets, especially vacated with a whole bunch of targets vacated, and their 2 receivers, their starting 2 receivers, are gone. So I can see a ton of those going to the tight end. In this case, okay, now we got upside here. We went upside here and tanked out. And I do know, like I think about it a lot. Sometimes it just comes to me too, where it's like, oh yeah, you remember this? Tank Dell was C.J. Stroud's favorite target basically until he got hurt. I mean, it's maybe a subject of opinion, but for me, for what looking at the eye test, it looks like he wanted Tank Dell all the time. When Tank Dell was gone, he went to Nico Collins. Is that still going to be the case? Possibly, but then again, you got 3 top-notch receivers. Who knows how the defenses will prepare for it? Swift went off the board next. Still going to be a solid. I still think he'll finish as a running back too. It's just it's tough to predict, especially with the new offense. Devontae Smith right off the back. It's a wide receiver 1. I'm not entirely fond upon it. However, they're still going to drive down the field. Yes, they just traded for Dotson, but it, they're going to drive down the field still. It's hard. There's so many mouths to feed on this offense. It's hard to stop. And next on the value, usually when I go with a tight end in this situation, like when I go to tight end on my end, I'll be usually going for Kittle or even Evan Ingram. Um, and in this case, I didn't do that. And even though McBride is still on the board, Kittle's still on the board, I could have went with those, but I didn't, and I'm starting to realize at this point that I'm regretting that. So Kittle goes off the board. He's still going to have his games. He's still going to go off. Um, a lot of his games this year, the 10 points and so. And then David Montgomery. I like this pick here. He's still got high upside here. That offense is still going to be tough to stop. He's going to get his things. He's going to get his feet. He's going to be fed the ball a lot. And even Jamal Williams, when he was with the Lions, got a whole bunch of work and led the league in touchdowns. He's still going to be a good wide running back, too, here. And then a surprise in the draft, in my opinion, was Jaleel White. I thought White would go a little bit further. I could have waited till he could have waited till the next round or 2 rounds from now to draft him. Excuse me. Just checking out some of the stuff here. Next went Amari Cooper. Cooper is a wide receiver too. I like a lot. And then Trey McBride next in that situation. Trey McBride finally goes, and so far I'm digging Panda's team here. A lot of those values, I don't think he expected any of those guys. I don't think he expected any of those guys to fall to him like that. And now, next off the board is Kyle Pitts. Especially with Kyle Pitts going off. It could be going off this year. Who knows? This is a make or break it year for him, basically. Because, yes, you had bad quarterback play, you had bad coaching play. It's make it or break it. Because now you've got a good coach who's a quarterback whisperer, basically. And now you got a quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks in the league, like a solid quarterback in the league, in Kirk Cousins. There's no excuse up to this point. Next goes Kyler Murray. I've seen a lot of people want to go Kyler Murray as their top guy for this year, a ride or die, my guy, whatever you want to call it, like my boy, like something like that. Next is Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers is a wide receiver 3 I like here too, especially if Andrews gets hurt. Zay Flowers immediately wide receiver 2, wide receiver 1 range. So far, this team's looking pretty solid. Still needs a running back, and I'm sure he'll find some down the road. So far, we got 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and a quarterback. Does he go tight end to balance it out, or does he get more of a of a excuse me of does he go more of like a receiver here or a running back or just he could even go defense kicker, like you never know. In this case, like my opinion, I'd go wide receiver here, especially if Puka's not up there yet. Like if he takes a step back here, you just want to get more for your value. In this case, Jake Ferguson. I don't hate this pick at all. Ferguson's an animal. Um, I will say it scares me a little bit. If the only thing, like, if you want to be scared about something, like the only thing I'm scared about a little bit is the schedule for the tight ends. It's kind of hard. Um, do you go? Do you want this? Like, do you want this to happen? Basically, do you still want to go to him? Yes, they're going to try to throw a lot. Is the running back? Is the running game gonna get going? But then again, though, the counter argument to that, well, he's the number 2 target in the offense, which is fair. Next off the board went Evan Ingram. As funny story for Skull for Life, he's not a big fan of drafting Evan Ingram, but he's he's went on his do not draft list, and to me it's like, wow, that's a surprising pick. He actually picked him. I can't believe it. He actually picked Evan Ingram. And he sees what Evan Ingram's done lately. It seems like it was a safe pick, but he's off. He's now off the do not draft list. And I was like, wow, this is fun, doing something that goes against what you stand for sometimes. It's like, you know what? This is like, I'm not drafting this guy ever again. And then you draft this guy. So it's interesting here. Next is the upside of Pickens. I like this pick because, especially with Ayuk not going there anymore, yes, he could be boom or bust, but now he's got a chance. To me, he has waited patiently all this time. Pickens never threw it to him. He's looked for Deontay Johnson, or he looked for like Jay Ward and things like that. Now, this case, here we go. This game over for you is up to pick. I can see him going receiver here. I can see him going with the running back. So Ramondre Stevens is still on the board. In this case, he reaches and gets Rashee Rice. I think that's a great pick. Wide receiver 2, like, yeah, easily wide receiver 2, possibly wide receiver 1 if they do what he did. He finishes his, he had a pace, which I thought was interesting, where he finished from like the times that he got back from the bye week to the end, he was a wide receiver 9. So, I mean, that's still pretty good. And now you have, uh, now you're in another offense with, or another year with Pat Mahomes. I can see them going crazy here. Um, Romeo Doomsday in this situation. I don't know how I feel about him. I don't feel the greatest about him actually. I don't. I don't think he's going to get a lot of work here. Great dynasty pick though. Like if you're in dynasty keeper or something like that, I could see that being a great pick. Um, but this is also where we got a text basically from rugging it out saying like his phone was basically going to die. He might miss a few picks here and there, but he's trying. Next goes T Higgins. T Higgins scares me a bit, even though it's Joe Burrow. T Higgins scares me a bit. Um, but going down here in the 6th round, I may be on the Higgins here, but I'd rather go down the list, or especially if Chase doesn't go to practice, this is fine. Then Higgins is nice. Um, then Kyle steals one of my picks in McLaurin. I thought about getting McLaurin here as a wide receiver, wide receiver 3. I thought this was fine, especially Dotson being gone. Um, and they just signed Noah Brown. I like Noah Brown, but I don't think he's going to take as much from McLaurin here. I could see a lot of targets going to Eckler too in that situation. Next, to me, this is a good run. This is a good pick too. Ramondre Stevenson in the 6th round is still nice. Even if he finishes as a running back 2 here, I still think he could do that. Running back 1, yeah, possibly not. And then Raheem Mostert went off the board next. That's a solid pick. But also it scares me a little bit because he's never had a full season until last year. And the odds of going 2 full seasons in a row with an injury prone player his whole career, it's really slim pickings. So like I don't know about that. So next, I was in a tough spot here because McLaurin would have been my pick. And for me, I forgot. I ended up having a brain fart there, and I was like, well, I guess I'll just pick Reed for as a wide receiver too. So I picked Reed, and I still think Watson gets hurt, but Reed is still going to be a focal play in that offense. And then I realized, oh yeah, I pick him as a wide receiver 3. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that. And then usually this is where I would pick up Jordan Love. He's had nice running back schedule or a nice quarterback schedule, like an easy quarterback schedule, probably the easiest. But Dak Prescott was on the board, and I never had a chance to have Dak Prescott, and I had Jordan Love last year on my team. So it's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to take the flyer on Dak Prescott. He's got a little hard of a schedule, but he's going to dominate, I think. Then Anthony Richardson was drafted on here based on ADP. And then Javonte Williams. Yes, P. Ryan's gone. Target's going to be spread around. Could go to Javonte Williams or it could go to McLaughlin. I think McLaughlin's there. Now this is the point where I'm looking for tight ends at this point. I'm thinking about punting the tight end position, but before I get back to that, Joe Burrow goes off the clock next. Scares me a little bit with this wrist issue and arm issue, but if he's the Joe Burrow of old, he is tearing this league up. He's going to tear it up. He's going to be a top 5 quarterback, I think, easy. In this case, I'm looking for a tight end. I don't trust Brock Bowers in this situation. Even Njoku scares me, especially with Deshaun Watson. He didn't really chuck it to him as much. To me, he didn't chuck it to him as much. He wasn't like, he is never, like, especially when he was with the Texans, he didn't chuck it to his tight end as much. Yeah, Fells was there, and Jordan, I think it was there too. And sometimes to be there like a week or 2 weeks in a row where a tight end goes, and we're thinking this is it, but then no tight ends go off the rest of the year, basically. But Dallas Goedert, I'm not a big fan of Dallas Goedert this year. I think he's going to take a step back, especially if there's a lot of mouths to feed. Um, Dalton Schultz scares me a little bit. Um, at around this point, Dalton Schultz scares me a little bit. But he, especially, again, Diggs coming in, there's a lot of mouths to feed, especially Joe Mixon. And it's just, there's a lot of mouths to feed. Next goes Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen as a wide receiver 3, yeah, I'm fine with that. And especially if this offense takes a big step like everyone's hoping it does. And if it does, ooh, buddy, Keenan Allen's going to be nice. Um, Now, like I said last pick, his phone was acting up. So this one's going to go possibly go to an auto draft here. So I'm just going to move this here real quick and then uh, drop it down just a tiny bit here. Okay, so 4, 3, 2, 1. We're all getting out. We'll select Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin, wide receiver 3. I like that. And if he gets put in the slot and is still dominant in the slot, yeah, he could be a wide receiver 2 easy. Najee Harris, I'm kind of growing on him a little bit, especially with Jaylen Warren getting hurt. But I still like Jaylen Warren too. Why not this? Is next on the clock here. Christian Kirk is still here. Ridley. My pick would be Ridley in this situation if, since I got 2 wide receivers basically here, 3 wide receivers actually, I think. Yeah, 3 wide receivers in this here. Calvin Ridley still would be a steal at this position. Otherwise, you still got Pollard off the board too. That Pollard's still there, and I think as long as he's efficient, like if he gets a full like big workload again, I don't think he does it as much. But if it's still like 1A, 1B situation, I think he'll be fine. He's very efficient for a running back here. Excuse me here. So just checking it out here. Yep, there's that. So who is he picking in this situation? Like I said, Christian Kirk. He's 15, 14 seconds. And why not this is still new to this whole thing. So it could he's still learning too. I like it when we're growing as a group here. Time's up, but Christian Kirk was picked next. He panicked. Christian Kirk was picked next. Ouch. So next off the board. Skull for life. So far, team's looking pretty solid here. There's still some good options here. Like I said, Calvin Ridley's still here. And this is where he goes quarterback at Jordan Love. Quarterbacks started going off the board. This, to me, is a good pick, even though he's a Vikings fan. So this is going to be interesting. This will be interesting for sure, especially trash talking this week here. Next is pancakes here in the situation. I'm looking. I'm balanced at this point. I'm thinking maybe receiver here in Calvin Ridley. Otherwise, I'm looking at tight ends too at this point while that is going on. I'm like, I don't fully trust. Like, oh, it's still not there. You go. I still don't. I don't trust him as much, especially being a rookie. And it's Gardner Minshew, who likes 2 receivers and a running back. Basically, when he does his stuff, he had Robinson and Alan Hearns. I think he had Hearns or Allen Robinson for like one little session, and then he was fine. No, it was who was it? I don't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, either way. Then I'm looking at David Njoku here. I'm just checking out some seasonal stuff here, and then come on, get this off the screen. And then I'm looking at it. I'm not too thrilled, but yes, like as you see, he started going up, especially Joe Flacco throwing on the ball and things, and he did all right. Finished tight end 6 and then 10 the previous year, and I'm like, you know what? All right, fine. I'll take a flyer on David Njoku. Okay, if he comes to me, I'll take a flyer on David Njoku. He ends up picking Christian Watson, Watson's fine. Watson's good. If he's on the field, Jordan Love likes Watson, and So we're going to get him. And then good value play with Tony Pollard here. Is a running back 3 here. Next is Birds of Pirates. Let's see where he goes. I mean, I would think he'd go Ridley. Ridley's a good uh, receiver here. Um, and then I could see him going 2 running backs too in this situation. Um, he Birds of Pirates finished is second place. He was in the championship game along with Witch Nasty. And and to me, it's still the greatest, not like the greatest championship game of all time was last year, especially just the storylines leading into that. He uh, he had a quarterback that was out, Trevor Lawrence. He had Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence was going to be out that week. I forgot who he put in, but he ended up. He had the Vikings. He had the Broncos quarterback. He picked up the Vikings quarterback for that week and put him in, or he switched out him. It was one of the two, but he switched out the quarterback position. Yeah, he switched out he switched out for the Vikings position or quarterback position, and ended up losing a few points. If he would have just left his lineup alone in here, he would have won. He would have gained an extra 3 points, which would have won him the championship. But um, and then Matt Witch Nasty here, like just forgot who he had already. It's already been a year, and my brain's already there. But uh, he won by it was a running back, uh, and he won by like a point. Like I said, he got the point, and then he was taken out of the game, and the game was over. But he decides to go Zach Moss here. Zach Moss, running back 2, basically at this point, and then Jerome Ford, still a running back in the 8th round, a running back 2. Um, and Kareem Hunt's not there anymore. Deontay Foreman's just got signed back. I don't think he's going to take much forward. Nick Chubb's going to be out for a bit. And speaking of Nick Chubb, he goes next. Nick Chubb, I mean, that was one of the gruesomest injuries I think I've ever seen, especially when they don't even show a replay of it. And I drafted Nick Chubb last year, and it hurt because I had Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry, and Aaron Jones, and 2 of those guys got hurt to start. And I mean, yeah, I did pick up Ford, but it still hurts. Like a lot of my team was filled with injuries, and I couldn't repair him as the best enough. But Nick Chubb, I don't know if he'll ever be the same again. Yeah, he has been in parts some of the most gruesome injuries, especially in college, and he's still going strong. Um, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see if he's ready to go by then. Next is Calvin Ridley, goes off the board. Still a solid pick at receiver. He's drafted pretty balanced. This is looking nice so far. Then Skull for Life, Deontay Johnson. He picked Deontay Johnson last year when he was on the Steelers and turned out really nice. Skull for Life actually led our league in points last year, points scored last year. So he's picking up right where he's left off. They basically got a QB guy, QB whisperer basically, and they're going to run multiple wide receiver sets. And I think he looked pretty solid. I think Bryce Young was looking pretty solid. And I'm like, okay, let's see what this guy has. He's finally has a coach that'll help him develop. But yeah, now it's why not this? And excuse me. Why not this? So he's still we still got Brock Bowers and Javen Njoku, and this is when the Njoku goes off the board. And I'm like, okay, there's only one other guy I'm going for here. And if Dalton Schultz, I'm looking at Dalton Schultz here, and I'm like, if Dalton Schultz, I'm texting my guy, if Dalton Schultz goes off the board, if he goes off the board, I'm going to try to punt the tight end position because I just don't see the value here. Do I go with T.J. Hawkinson too down the road and pick a second tight end? The thought of that occurred to me too. And then Addison goes off the board now. Or Brian Thomas, I like that pick too. Especially I'm seeing Christian Kirk that might get hurt again. And Gabe Davis, deep field threat, but I think Brian Thomas can grow as a person. And then Addison goes off the board next. That's going to be hard, especially with um, Justin Jefferson and big quarterback play. Like it's just, I don't know if they can. I don't know if he can fit as a receiver. I hope he can. That'd be nice. But then Austin Eckler goes off the board. It's so weird seeing him here in the 8th round, especially for he's been in rounds 1 and 2 basically the times when he's had the lead role. Brian Robinson's still pretty good in that situation. Um, but who knows? Maybe some of the targets can go to Eckler. I know Eckler's going to be working like really hard, but we'll see. We'll see how that offense goes, especially with the rookie quarterback. So Singletary goes off the board. That's a phenomenal. That's a fine pick. I like that pick a lot here in that situation. Yeah, he is like he's not going to be what Saquon was, but still starter caliber running back, 8th round. Still going to get a majority of the work. I've seen him as a pass catching running back. He's been fine. Xavier Worthy, we'll see how he goes. Who knows? Maybe Xavier, if Rice ends up getting Rice ends up getting um, Rice ends up having to go to court and being off the team. Xavier Worthy being there, like Hollywood Brown's hurt, Juju's still getting there, who might know the offense, but who knows? Worthy can be that guy. Then McConkey goes off the board. I still think McConkey's drafted way too high, but he's still going to be out there with the ones. He's going to be out there with the ones along with Palmer, and uh, I think it's going to be hard because usually from looking at what Harbaugh has done, it's been like 3,100 yards passing and like 20 touchdowns or something like that. And it's been like that every year the past 4 years, no matter which quarterback was there, whether it's Kaepernick or whether it's Alex Smith. Um, then let's see, Conkley, and then in this case, I was like, okay, usually I like running backs in this situation. Maybe let's go with Jalen Warren here, and then Jonathan Brooks. I'm not in on Jonathan Brooks. I'm not there yet. Maybe a dynasty pick, sure, maybe. But then it was down to either Brian Robinson or Tajay Spears. And I'm like, I'm still getting Brian Robinson. I'm still getting him here. There's a good chance he starts out pretty strong. He was a running back 7 the first half of the year last year, and I mean I can still see that happening. But then Hollywood Brown goes off the board here. Just throwing a second. And then Matty Ice is going to be on the clock. I just want to see what they had for tight ends here in that situation. A lot of the times when I've punted the tight end position itself, I've gone down to Tyler Conklin. And Tyler Conklin, 87, it's going to be at least 87 targets. He's had it 3 straight years. Conklin's still going to be an option on this team, the third option on this team. Um, I just I was like, okay, you know what? And then I'll just look for tight ends down there. And I was like, okay, let's just see what happens. Um, so Brock Bowers goes next to Kyle. And then TJ Hawkinson goes to Tony. Vikings player goes to Tony. The biggest, baddest goat. And so definitely I'll put him in the injured reserve because we do have an injured reserve spot. I forgot to mention. There's 7 bench spots too, along with the starters, and then an injured reserve. Next, Brock Purdy goes off, so they're rugging it out as 2 quarterbacks. Jameson Williams goes next. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not sold on Jameson Williams, not even once. I don't think like even when St. Brown was out, the guy that stepped up was Josh Reynolds, and it's like I think he's had a chance. Like he's already had a chance. He ain't gonna do as much. But Gus Edwards goes off the board. Yeah, starting caliber running back. He played 17 games last year with the Ravens. Still had a ton of work. I still think he'll get that down here. Next, Tajay Spears goes off the board. Still going to be explosive. He's still going to be great. I think it's a good pick. Titans pick. It's a good pick. Next, we got Taylor, Kamara here. There's excuse me, you got Puka. Like he's got a pretty solid receiving core. Now I would think he'd go running back here just to balance out. He's picked a few receivers at this point. I can see him go running back here. Trey Benson's interesting. Zeke is interesting if like he gets a lot of work, but then again Dalvin Cook's coming in, and I think people were overhyping on Dwiddle here. Like I wrote or Rico Dowell. Sorry. I think people are overhyping him. Even when Tony Pollard was on the field, he wasn't doing the greatest. Yes, they just went to a passing work. They did not go to him as a running back. Like, yes, maybe it's been his time to shine or whatever. And maybe the stats. You try to get stats to make it sound good and make yourself feel better. But I just don't see it. I don't see an option where that happens. You would have to have um, you would have to have injuries to Zeke and injuries to Dalvin Cook for that to happen, just to see what he would do. And I don't think that would happen. I don't think that's going to happen. And then Zeke goes off the board here in this situation. And still, it's still a pretty good thing. They still, I mean, Jared, like, it's classic offense, bell cow running back, one good receiver, one good tight end, basically. That's how it goes back in the day. Then the Panda Man comes back in with Chase Brown. I think that's a great pick, too. We've seen a lot of the starters work. What thing scared me, if I had to be scared in a situation like this, would be that in one of the games, like in the preseason, you went 10 for 20 and like 2 yards a carry. And it's like, that doesn't seem the greatest. It seems more like a Zach Moss thing here. But next, JSN goes off the board. I've heard a lot, like, through the grapevine and how they arguments for JSN being a sleeper pick, especially the guy coming in utilizes the slot a lot more. JSN did show flashes of awesome, of greatness during the season, but it just to me it's like, okay, I'm not there yet. Like, at least I know for sure. I don't think it's gonna happen. But Sutton here, Sutton Sutton scares me, but Sutton's a really good football player, dude. I just, if you look at his contested catches, he is really good at those. I mean, I just watched a video the other day, top 100, like, because Roku has live TV. I'm not sponsored by Roku or anything like that, but they have live TV where they have some sports channels, and on the NFL Little Network channel, um, they do a top 100 catches. For instance, we watched the top 100 catches, and Sutton had 10 of those catches on there. Like, 10 of those plays were Court and Sutton, and he's making these ridiculous plays, or he's dominating these plays, which was crazy. Like, and he's still like, what was interesting too, what scared me too about this, but like, what the scaring part is that he finished with what, 10 touchdowns and finished as a running or wide receiver 35. I don't know how it's going to be this year. Is it going to be more passing? And what I will say though, they got rid of Tim Patrick. I like Tim Patrick, but he just couldn't stay healthy, couldn't stay on the field. Would Mims take a step forward? Probably not. I don't even know. But to me, it just seems like, okay, more targets to Sutton. Keaton Coleman, Keon Coleman could take a step forward here with being a one. Who knows? My preference, I don't think so. I think it's Shakir. Shakir for me, when Gabe Davis went out, or like he went out for a play when both of them went on the field, Shakir averaged like 15 points a game. And it's like, yeah, I could see that. And the passing work has dropped in that offense. And if the passing work is going to drop in the offense, it's going to be more rushing. He's going to want to stay comfortable in that offense. And the guy he has work with is Shakir. And I think Shakir's gotten himself open plenty of times. Um, but in this case, we'll go from that later. We'll talk about that later. Next, the first kicker goes off the board. He's a Justin Tucker fan. He likes Justin Tucker. Pancakes likes Justin Tucker. And Tucker does well for him. Tucker does well. I've seen strategies where kickers have gone in the 11th round even, or even in the 10th round. So to me, this ain't nothing. This ain't nothing. It could be a strategy here. But he's still going to get a ton of points. The only downside I have here is that he does have a tough schedule. Like, looking at like the strength of schedule and stuff like that, he was all the way at the bottom here. And it's like, wow, these guys here, like, are there any chances that this guy, like, that defenses will take a step backwards, and maybe it'll switch from red to green or something like that. Maybe the points will go up. And it didn't seem like that was the case. So, I mean, it could be interesting, but at the same time, it could be a lot of field goals. Derrick Henry could get hurt. Lamar Jackson could do his thing, and Tucker could still get a lot of field goals. Next, Corum goes off the board next for Tim, so that kind of, or for Skull for Life, and that kind of gets, uh, he's handcuffed just in case, because we all know he's going to get hurt. Yes, he went to the punt return team. That don't read too much into that. He's a dominant running back. You want like a bell cow running back. If you've got a good running back, you want him on the field at all times. And yes, he's going to get hurt, but Corum's there. Corum's from Michigan. Miami Hurricanes are my number one team. I love Miami. I love the green and gold. I don't have time to sit there and just like research and stuff like that for them, but growing up, I loved watching Miami. And then Michigan is number two, especially just my dad being a Michigan fan. Born like he lived in Michigan basically the majority of his life. So, but Corum here, watching Corum, he was nice. Like to me, they got a solid pick. Harbaugh knows how to coach his team. His like they go towards the running back. I mean, Frank Gore was over there. Like this was fine. Like when he was with the Niners, this is fine. We're fine. We're good. Next goes Jared Goff off the pick here. I didn't think he'd go Hurts and then Goff here. Thought he would go somewhere different, like a running back here. I mean, Chuba Hubbard's still a starting quality running back here in the 10th round, still pretty good. But he goes Jared Goff. Jared Goff should have an awesome season. He is a beast. From what I've seen, he's a beast when he's indoors. I don't know why, but he is. And he does indoors at least 14 of his 17 games this year. That's almost the whole entire season. He is almost the whole entire season. Now, in this case, I'm looking at tight ends. I'm like, you know what? This is my final thing. If Dalton Schultz is still here, I'm punting then I'm getting him. If not, I'm punting the tight end position. I'm punting the tight end position. You see his numbers 12, 8, like 11, 10. So it's like, okay. Then Hopkins goes off the board. Hopkins is still going to be good. They're going to, again, the quarterback whisperer here in Tennessee, they're going to throw the ball a ton. You got some good receivers. Yeah, we've been known for our receivers is where our QBs go to die, or our running, or where star receivers go to die. But I still think Hopkins got left in the tank. He basically can do what he wants. Yes, he got hurt, but still, the receiving core there is nice with Ridley and Tyler Boyd and Traylon Burks, still dominant, and they're still gonna. I still think it's a solid receiving core. Then Goddard goes off the board here, 10th round. That's actually not bad. I don't mind that. I still didn't want to pick him though. Then Tyler Lockett. Maybe there was a down year for Tyler Lockett, and he has a better season because usually it's like 1,000 yards, and he's been fine. Then Trey Benson goes here. I thought about picking Trey Benson here just because of James Conner in that situation. Because James Conner, I mean, he gets hurt a lot. He got hurt a lot when he was in Pittsburgh. And that's when Najee came in. Like he's gotten hurt a lot here. He still was going to finish as a running back too. And Benson here, it would be a nice pickup here for that when that happens. And especially when he gets hurt, I could see him being I could see Kyle here putting him up as a starting running back too. And then Jaden Daniels goes here. I like this pick a lot too. That's nice. I'd prefer to get a second quarterback on top of that, just to kind of help, just to see. And in this case, Dalton Schultz got picked. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And I'm like, but I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm punting the tight end position. But Shakir is still on the board. So I'm like, I don't get Shakir ever. He always goes, like, I hardly get Shakir. I've gotten Shakir a couple times, but I've done a lot of mocks. But in this case, he's here. I'm picking him up. And then I was like, I don't really want a tight end at this point, but there's still a starting caliber running back here, and the backup running back is going to be out for 4 weeks, so he's still going to get a ton of work here. So yes, give me Chuba Hubbard in this situation, and then Caleb Williams, another young QB, was picked here in this situation, and I mean, if Caleb Williams goes off like everyone says he might, and if this Bears offense is higher, this could be interesting. And he's going to have it on the bench. Now, Witch Nasty, let me tell you something about Witch Nasty here. Witch Nasty has those lineups where it's like you take a look at their lineup, and there's no way that this lineup should be good. This should be like a 4-10 lineup. But the players always outperform, and it ends up being like a 9-5 or like a 10-4 or like an 8-6, and it's like how. But this case, next off the board, Matty Ice. I mean, this the layup pick with Joshua Palmer. Um, uh, I still think he's the number one. He's the only one that has rapport with Justin Herbert. Especially learning a new offense can be pretty tough, but you still want that comfortableness too, and that's what Palmer offers. Now, only knock is that he gets hurt. I mean, I wish he's gotten hurt a lot last year, and he didn't do as much. But next goes Mike Williams off the board. Scares me a little bit. Um, Scares me a little bit. Yes, he's gonna be a deep guy, and you bet like Rodgers, I could see him going for like around the goal line area, but he gets hurt a lot. Chandler, that's a solid pick here. Um, Chandler, like if Jones gets hurt a lot, Chandler will pop right in um, to get a lot, but who knows? Uh, he could end up like turning into a solid role here. Next is working it out. Who J.K. Dobbins is still here. I mean, Jalen Wright is still here. Tyler Algier is still here. I don't really like. I'm not on board Shaq Charbonnet, even though like people like saying his name a lot and you want him to see him do well. I just don't see it. Next, J.K. Dobbins goes off the board. Rico Dowell is next, right behind that. And then we got why not this? Now there is some good. There's some good running backs. Like there's some good running backs here still. Receiver wise, it's okay receivers. Um, But let's see what he drafts. Now, at this point, too, I found out that with pancakes, he had somewhere to be, but his friend drafted the rest of his lineup for him, which I am okay with. I am totally fine with that. And because he had somewhere he had to be. Uh, but in this case, why not this still there? Um, okay. About 30 seconds left to go here for his pick. No, he's still trying to find the good pick. Like, to me, for him, it's a solid draft. It is. It's a solid draft. And let's see, receivers here. Got Curtis Samuel, Romeo Dobbs, um, and Mitchell, Jacoby Myers. I like Jacoby Myers. I mean, I probably would go Jacoby Myers in this situation here. Adonai Mitchell still going to be behind Josh Downs and Michael Pittman. Romeo Dobbs is intriguing here. But Gibson, he went with Gibson. Could be a lot of pass catching work out the backfield. But who knows? It could just be Ramondre Stevenson show. Next is Skull for Life. This is where he's looking Jalen Wright or Jacoby Myers, which he decided he's going Jacoby Myers. Which I still think is solid. Minshew can support two receivers. He did it with Jacksonville. He did it with the Colts, two solid receivers, and I still think he'll do it with the Raiders. Next is Pancakes in this situation. Picks the Cowboys defense. Cowboys defense still going to be pretty solid. One of the guys is out 6 to 8 weeks, I think. And Dan Quinn's no longer there, so I mean they could take a step down, but they're still pretty good defense. They're still solid. They still have Micah Parsons back there. It's still going to be nice. Cole Kmet goes here in the 11th round to Panda Man. I really wanted to draft Cole Kmet this year, but because of the trade to Keenan Allen, that sent me off. I was like, you know what? Nope, I can't draft him, and I wanted to. He has quietly been a solid tight end the past couple of years. And then Birds Abides picks Jalen Wright here, and I'm expecting Achane to get hurt. I'm expecting Mostert to get hurt, and Wright can just slide himself in. Bigger, he's fast. I mean, it seems like a requirement on the Dolphins is you got to be super fast. And then This pick, still about a minute to go on Bird of Bites pick here. Excuse me. Bird of Bites pick here. Um, so he's still pretty balanced. His team is still pretty balanced. Uh, he's still got his tight end. Still got. Uh, he's solid at running backs. He's solid at receiver. I can see QB here in this situation too. Otherwise, he could go with the receiver. Could go with Romeo Dobbs. Tua's still here. Um, he could go. He could go kicker too if he wanted to. He could go defense here too. Defense could be a pretty solid one here too. Checking out. Like still, he's balanced. Everything seems to be balanced right now. Who would he go with? He goes with Tyler Algier. I don't know how we're gonna feel about this year. I still think he can still get a ton of work. It's poor. It's unfortunate because Tyler Algier was such a good player when they drafted Bijan, and it's like that's unfortunate because I thought he was gonna break out last year, but unfortunately that's not the case. Next goes the Jets. Jets top two defense, especially with Rodgers coming back. Top two. That's a good pick. I like that. Now, some of them, if they go by value picks, like, oh, value, if you want value, just wait till the last couple of rounds. That's fine, too. Some people do that. Some people like to do that in this draft, so there's one of everything for it. Next, Tua goes to Pancakes here, who also has Pat Mahomes, so it should be interesting. Next, McLaughlin goes off the board. I like this. Um, if Javonte Williams can't live up to what he has done throughout the year, like I know it's been kind of rough with that injury. And McLaughlin still, I kind of like McLaughlin when he came in last year, and my, I remember playing against Matty Ice and him picking up McLaughlin and throwing him in the lineup, and I'm like, okay, let's see what this could do. And then he went off, and I'm like, well, that's a bummer. But yeah, so I still think he could take a big step, especially with Pirine being gone. Why not? This is next on the clock. Um, Now, I've seen some of his mocks before because he showed me some of his mocks where he's drafted a kicker around this area. Otherwise, if he wasn't going to draft a kicker, I don't think he'd go defense here. But Curtis Samuel's still here. Romeo Dobbs is still here. Adonai Mitchell, if you want to take a flyer. Jerry Judy is interesting in that situation, but it looks like he went Curtis Samuel here. And Samuel's still kind of nice. He makes some pretty cool catches. But he's got a speed guy. And, John Brown was pretty speedy. When Diggs was here, John Brown was pretty speedy here. And Cole Beasley in the slot. I could see Samuel going outside and just being that speed guy. But yeah, so game over for you is next. I could see him go to Romeo Dobbs here if you want to still continue with your receivers. Which he does. Okay, so he goes there. Butker goes off the board here. I've seen him pick Butker last year. And I believe he picked Butker last year, and now Butker comes back to him. 12th round, we're starting to get to the grit here a little bit. Gabe Davis is still here. Shahid's still here. Jerry Judy is interesting. Justin Herbert goes here. Solid pickup too. He could end up going off too. Like, yes, he's because of the situation on hand. Who knows? He could still pick up right where he left off and still finish in the top 8 quarterbacks. But Polk goes here. I don't mind Polk in this situation. Douglas is ahead of him, and Polk. They're not just going to hand the keys to Polk. So but still, chances of him doing getting a lot of targets and stuff, especially with Jacoby Brissett being the quarterback in that situation. Jacoby Brissett could drive the ball down the field. Can he score when he gets there? It's kind of tough here in that situation. Now, I decided to go to tight end, and I'm crazy here because I'm thinking Pat Fryermuth again, and it's like I really don't want Pat Fryermuth here, and I'm thinking kicker here in this situation, and I'm like usually I've gone kicker in the 13th before, and I have picked up Audrey, but then again, there's so many kickers to choose from there. But tight end is still speaking to me at this point and trying to ignore it. But I'm still looking at Matty Ice thinking, okay, what can he do in this situation? Um, and he goes Zach Charbonnet. Who knows? He could end up going off. And I seriously thought about picking Aubrey here in the 13th round, but unfortunately he went off the list. And I'm like, oh, come on. So I'm thinking of kickers here at this point. I don't want McPherson. I'm not on board yet. Younghoe Koo is my favorite, but he's kind of had a rough preseason. His schedule's kind of a little hard. So I'm thinking, I'm like, am I really gonna pick Pat Fryermuth here? And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna give him one more chance. I'm gonna give him one more chance here. And I just went and picked him. Now, because I picked Pat Fryermuth here, I have to go somewhere different now. Do I go kickers here? Younghoe Koo still. I mean, I like him. He's my favorite kicker, and he missed a few field goals in the preseason. Schedule's kind of a little difficult here. He's finished. He's kind of back and forth season. I mean, you can end up finishing in the top 5 or whatever, especially he's got an offense now. But then I'm like, you know what? Let's go back to the tight end position here after running back. Let's go back to the tight end position here. And Ben Sinnot's still here. And yes, he's going to be behind Zach Ertz, but he looked nice during the preseason. So I'm like, you know what? I can do this. I'm going to pick Ben Sinnot here, and then Mitchell goes next. And I'm like, if Pat Fryermuth goes, like, I know Arthur Smith uses 2 tight ends. He used to be an offensive coordinator in Tennessee. He used tight ends a lot, like 2 tight ends. He used 2 tight ends last year for the Falcons. He's going to use 2 tight ends here. Now, Fryermuth, uh, I don't. But Russell Wilson has thrown to his tight ends a little bit. I know that if Justin Fields starts the games, I kind of like Pat Fryermuth a little bit. But I mean, I'm taking a risk at this point. And Sinnot, I think, will overtake Zach Ertz, and I think I'll have myself a good receiver. And a rookie, for what I've seen a lot too, the thought of rookie quarterback's favorite target is a tight end. It's kind of nice. So I'm like, I'm kind of set. I'm feeling good about myself. I know it's not the greatest picks, but it's better than Tyler Conklin basically. But I still would have been okay with Tyler Conklin in that situation too. Um, in this case, okay, we got about 20 seconds. Jerry Jeudy's still here. Yeah, I mean, if Cooper does go down, Jerry Jeudy becomes a top pick here. Kyle goes with Wicks, which I like Wicks. He is so fast. He's so good. That whole receiving core for the Packers is so nice. I remember saying last year, too, when talking with my wife even, that she's a Packers fan. This team is going to be nasty. Their receiving core is so nasty. This team's going to be nice. And talking with my best friend, who's a big football fan. Skull for life, basically. And just like Wicks being just that whole team just being nice. And just Wicks getting in there, and because he's got breakaway speed. We saw it during the preseason. First pass he gets, 1 catch, 60-something yards, and a touchdown. I'm like, dude, already off the bat. Next goes Aaron Rodgers here in the situation. I don't hate that either. I don't know if he's going to be a top 12 quarterback, but 15 I'm fine with. Herbert could be close to a top 12, maybe top 15 here. So it's nice. It's solid. Next, we got rugging it out. He still could pick a defense here. Still running backs I could see here, maybe even a receiver here. Like I said, his phone's been going in and out, so there's a good chance that he does have to auto pick here. So we will wait and see on that one. I mean, the thought, since while we're at it here, the thought of Taysom Hill did cross my mind. Of Taysom Hill, like picking a tight end, Taysom Hill. But because of what Dennis Allen said of he loves Taysom Hill. But now in this situation, you got Trevor Lawrence as QB here still. Kirk Cousins is still here. And if Kirk Cousins is like last year's Kirk Cousins, that's a steal of a pick. Trevor Lawrence, to me, whoever picks up Trevor Lawrence here, it's a steal. Because he should not be going this low. he to me should not be going this low. I think he's way underpriced. Uh, Stafford, I could see taking a jump this year. Um, Leggett goes here. I don't know about that because Thielen's still there. Deontay Johnson's here. They've said Deontay Johnson's going to be a major focus. So to me, it's like Deontay Johnson's going to be the guy. And I mean, it's still kind of hard. So um, there's a list of all these guys here so far, which we'll go through at the end of the thing, at the end of the draft here. Um, so Trevor Lawrence goes next, which still pretty solid, especially going to Dan. It's a pretty solid pickup. The team's nasty right now. Why not this is next on my board. He's already got two quarterbacks. I don't know if he'd pick another tight end at this point because he does have Njoku here. There's still some good receivers. Because I mean, Likely's still here. I mean, yeah, just taking a look at everything here. Yeah, because he got Njoku. Okay, yeah. So, I mean, I'll probably go receiver here at this point. Let's take a look at Q. See nothing. So wait, about 20 seconds here. About 10. And we got the 9. And we got the okay. So Gabe Davis, that's pretty solid too. I mean, if especially Christian Kirk gets hurt, it's still kind of a solid pickup here. Skull for Life is still in this situation. Shahid's still here. I could see him going that route. Otherwise, could go running back here too. I could see him going QB as well because he has taken two QBs before here in drafts. Kirk Cousins is here. Stafford is here still. Baker Mayfield. If anyone wants to take a flyer on Baker Mayfield, I'm not going to. But if anyone wants to take a flyer, his first 6 weeks of the schedule are pretty nice, pretty easy. Before he gets super tough towards the end. Then he goes Stafford here. I know that with Stafford, when everyone is healthy, they got that full roster or whatever, they average 30 something points a game. And he throws the ball a lot. So, I mean, Stafford, he does have the Stafford Kyron connection, and he does like to check it down to the running back. And I can see the touchdowns happening too. Excuse me here. Okay, so next we have so he's got two quarterbacks, a defense. I don't know if he pick a second defense. I don't think he'd pick a second kicker. So I mean, there is running back situation here. There's receiver here. And he does go Brandon Cooks. He does like Brandon Cooks. I've seen him pick Brandon Cooks at least in a few of these drafts. And still, to me, Brandon Cooks is a really good number 2 receiver. It's like when you think number 2 receiver, Brandon Cooks. It's like what I thought when it's like back in the day. It's like, who did you think was the number 2 receiver? You know, like if you think wide receiver number 2, who would you pick? And to me, that would have been Marvin Jones Jr. It's like, to me, everywhere he went, it's like, dude, this is the perfect wide receiver 2 to go along with your 1. He gets along so well with each team. To me, that's Brandon Cooks. He can go anywhere. Like, he can even go to Minnesota, and I think he would perform better as a wide receiver 2 than Jordan Addison will. Or he can even go, I mean, down to Denver even and do it that way. But anyway, so Cousins goes next off the board for Panda. Pretty solid there. Then Steelers were in consideration for me for drafting as my defense. Just seeing like they were top 6. So I studied a lot of strength of schedules, like top 6 in strength of schedule. To me, it's like throughout the season. Playoff schedule was kind of nice. And it's like, okay. But I'm like, okay, they wasn't fully locked in, you know, because I still had Buffalo on my list. I still had the Ravens on my list. Kansas City was in consideration. But yeah. And then that next pick, which kind of got me here because I was thinking about drafting him in the 15th round because I'm in a keeper league with Birds of Bites, and In the 16th round, I wanted Burton, and he was so far down the list, I thought nobody was going to pick him up. And then, sure enough, 16th round comes around, and Burton gets picked. And I'm like, are you serious? And then I'm like, okay, maybe he's going to try that again. Maybe he'll pick him in the 15th round. Maybe I might just do it in the 14th, and I'll have him in the 15th round when it comes my way, and I could do that. And I've gotten him in all my mocks in the 15th or whatever. So it's like, to me, this was kind of nice, but unfortunately, can't have that. And I know some of the other guys wanted Burton too. Trust me, I know, like through text messages and stuff. I know some of the like text messages could be hanging out with the person that they wanted Burton, and they couldn't get him. But hey, that's fine. Next on the list is Mason, the backup running back to the San Francisco 49ers, because Elijah, um, excuse me here. Why did I was going to say Elijah Moore, but that's not the case. Why can't I think of his name? Wow. I'm just, oh my goodness, that's going to bother me here. Uh, that's going to bother me. It's just going to bother me here. Why can't I think of what his name is? Elijah Mitchell. That's what his name was. So Elijah Mitchell, like, is out for the year, season-ending injury, and that's a bummer because he was nice when he gets in the game. He was kind of nice, but he always got hurt. He's been hurt the past few years, and it's kind of hard. So Mason's up there too, but usually running backs perform well in the Shanahan offense. So, and if McCaffrey is going to be hurt a little bit, then Mason should just do just fine. Next, Davis goes off the board, backup running back for Buffalo. I could see why Pancakes would pick him, especially with the fumbling issues that Cook has had. Who knows, that could lead to more opportunities for Davis here. Next, Shaheed goes off the board. A lot of people have picked Shaheed as a sleeper pick, especially like the situations look good. Michael Thomas is gone. He has shown flashes of like awesomeness, basically, and I don't know if he's going to be consistent. I don't think he'll be consistent. I don't know. Um, it just he scares me a little bit. It's like those ones you can't explain. It's like you can't explain here. Next, Thielen goes off the board. They were going to use multiple wide receivers in Carolina, so Thielen could be an interesting to pick here. I don't know if he's going to be like last year, though. Next is the 49ers. 49ers defense comes off the board here. Solid pick. It's kind of dropped off a little bit the past year. They're not as strong as they once was, but still pretty good. Schedule's nice. Schedule's fine. They're still going to be dominant, I think. They're still going to be nice. Um, next, Okay, next in this situation, having issues with his phone, because I've seen him already come back on and go back off, come back on, go back off, and still dealing with the phone. So I mean, there's another chance it could go south here. Um, Josh Downs is still intriguing to me, um, but I don't know if he'll get fantasy. He didn't really do much until not Baker, until Gardner Minshew came in. But Downs is fun. I think Downs is a solid guy. But let's see who he goes with here in this situation. Let's see who he goes with here in this situation. 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom. Baltimore Ravens. See, now Ravens were in consideration. I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? And Ravens unfortunately went off the board here. I would have been fine with the Ravens pick, top 3. And to me, it seemed like it didn't matter if it was a bad team they faced or a good team they faced. They still were putting up a ton of points. They still were putting up double-digit points. So the biggest, baddest goat is up now. About a minute to go here. I could see him going defense here. Kicker here is an option as well. Otherwise, I mean, John Downs is still here. Jahan Dotson could still be here. I don't think they would pick Purcell. I mean, that stinks what happened to him though. Shout out to him. Hopefully, he makes a great recovery. Fidel is still interesting here. Um, you could go with the second tight end because Does he have two tight ends? I can't remember. All right, but either way, um, uh, so Marshawn Lloyd is still here. Brandon Allen's still here. Kendrick Miller's still here. I mean, and then tight ends, like I said, if he goes to the second tight end, QBs are fine. 16, 15 seconds here. We got 14s. I don't know if he's having phone issues or what either. Um, but it's still pretty solid. We got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. McPherson. Okay, kicker goes here. McPherson's drafted. If it's Joe Burrow, he's going to have some nice things. He's going to have some nice kicks. I don't know if it's going to be consistent, though. Scares me just a little bit. Now, we'll see what Kyle goes here. He's been pretty solid at receivers and running backs. His balance. He's still got a quarterback. I would pick another quarterback just to be on the safe side, or a tight end in this case, just because I don't trust like Burrow, especially with his wrist still and his arm. Otherwise, the tight end position still kind of solid too. I mean, Joshua Downs still sits here just fine. I'm also looking at kickers at this point because I want kickers. Uh, at this point, I'm looking just for the Buffalo Bills defense, and I'm like, I have gotten them at this point. I got them in the last round of every draft. Yes, some of the defensive quarter is different and might take a step down, but they're still going to be a top, I would think, top 8 defense. And the schedule starts off kind of nicely too for them. So it's like, okay, I feel confident that the Bills will fall to me. And it seems like a lot of defenses are going. I don't know if they'll pick 2 defenses. Sometimes that's rare. Kyle is having, I think Kyle, let's wait, come back here. So let's see. It looks like they're starting to go to auto. Younghoe Koo goes off the board here, which is still kind of solid. It's still solid here. Matty Ice, Cleveland Browns defense. They've been a beast here. Marshawn Lloyd is interesting here. Now, I'm looking at Tyrone Tracy here at this point because, yeah, he should be fine. The injury thing was reported false. I could see him taking over Singletary here. Now I'm looking kicker or I'm looking defense. What do I go with? Let me just check it out just to make sure. Who knows? Maybe I got to pick somebody else. Washington and I'm like, you know what? I'll just go kicker at this point. And let's see where we come back. And I'm going to bank on the Buffalo Bills being here. I could sometimes risk it for the biscuits, and I do like the biscuits, especially biscuits and gravy. Fantastic. Vidal goes next in the auto for here. Matty Ice's turn here. Kicker's still on the board for him. Kicker's still on the board for him. He could still go running back or receiver here. Downs is still available, which ain't bad either. But let's see who he goes with here. About 50 seconds, a big 5-0. Let's see, big 5-0. There's still some good kickers here, though. Moody, okay, surprise. Okay, Moody goes next. Moody scares me a little bit because it's been like 6 or 7 points. Like, yeah, you're getting at least a 4 or 6 for sure, but like maybe a ceiling of 8, and maybe even a little bit more. But like, it's not as consistent as I would want it to be. Even though the first 5, 6 games of the season for Moody, pretty solid. One of the best. One of the best. And it's like, I think top 3, I want to say, when it came to that. What I remember. Kyrie Fairman. Okay, so no kickers here. Kyle doesn't usually do. Kyle doesn't usually do. What you would call it, like 2 kickers. So Texans. Texans go here. I don't know how I feel about the Texans. I still think the Texans D scares me a little bit, but I still think they take a step forward. I just scares me. It just either way. Pearsall gets auto drafted to the biggest baddest goat. Next is rugging it out. He can go again. Downs is still here. I could see him going more run receiver here. And it looks like some of the guys are already auto drafting on the last part. But we'll see what we'll see. It could be a phone issue here, too. Here comes the biggest, baddest goat on here. Uh, we're getting there. 2 more rounds to go. It's pretty exciting so far. About 12 seconds, so it looks like the phone's having issues still. Um, so we got about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom. And we got Downs. Okay, so auto draft Downs is here. Game over for you. It's about to make his pick. He's still kicker's still on the board here in this situation. Um, I'm just watching at this point. Douglas, to me, Douglas, wide receiver 1 in the 15th round. Yeah, I could see that. I believe Douglas is because Kendrick Bourne is not there. Kendrick Bourne's hurt. I don't think he's playing for a little while. And Douglas is here still. Um, Stevie's or the why not this is picking next. Uh, Defense is still here. Kickers. Did he pick kicker already? I'm trying to remember. I don't feel like going up. Um, but he's got about 45 seconds. 40 seconds here. But yeah, no. If you guys are enjoying this still, please leave a like, subscribe, man. Like I know, like it's 16. A lot of these guys will just only put the parts that they care and the rest upside or whatever. But to me, this is fun. If you're into this kind of stuff, man, and you're still looking to draft or whatever, like go ahead, like leave a like, man, subscribe, like leave a note in the comments, see who your team is, man. Who do you like in this situation? And I know our guys in this league will vote for themselves. Some of them will. I mean, if I had to vote for a team right now, Panda Man's team was pretty solid though. I kind of liked his team, but we're still who knows. I will have to go back and take a look at all the teams again. But at first glance, seems like Panda Man here. Um, Eagles defense was I was like, okay, what was the Eagles defense here in the situation? Uh, okay, so he went with the Dolphins defense, which that's pretty solid. It's a solid pick by why not this. Uh, he was going to toss up between Tampa and I think Philly or Kansas City is one of the other two. Um, Tampa still was kind of good. Philadelphia Eagles, yeah, was scary. Yeah, so I think he was texting me this. I'm like, dude, I probably would pick Tampa, but that's your decision. You go with this. You go with whatever. So he decided, if I remember, he decided he was going to go with Tampa here. I could see him doing that. Kicker. Okay, so yeah, he's going to go defense, and then he'll finish his round out with the kicker here. Um, so yeah, Tampa Bay goes here. Then we got Pancakes with his pick. Mooney's still here on the board, which Mooney, I could see some upside happening. It seems like he's open a lot. Fields never hit him when he was in Chicago, and when Badgett saw him open, he overthrew him a couple times. So did him a few times. Otten goes off. Otten actually got a lot of the red zone targets. Not many people realize that is Otten got a lot of red zone targets when they got to the goal line. Michael Wilson goes off the board. I've heard his name. Greg Dolch, I've heard his name, but Michael Wilson has been the talk. And then Fairbairn. To me, it's like I remember saying this. It's like I can't believe Fairbairn fell to bird abides, and I'm like, but then all of a sudden he drafts Dicker the kicker, and I'm like, he doesn't usually draft 2 kickers. It's like, must be a slip at the button. And sure, come to find out, yes, there was a slip at the button. Next, excuse me. Okay. Ouch. here. Next, another kicker. It's kind of hard to see, and because, like I said, this draft is pre-recorded. This draft was pre-recorded here. I can't really see, which I'll move the screen here in a little bit, but it's like as I get older, my memory goes down, so it's kind of nice. I'm like, oh, I don't remember who he picked, or I don't remember who he picked, But a kicker was picked. It looks like I know that for sure. Um, so kicker and defense were already picked. Like I said, Mooney's still on the board here. You got Brandon Allen's still here. Bucky Irving's still here. I mean, I'd be looking at those three guys right off the bat. Um, okay, Mooney goes off the board. It's hard to see the kicker for Panda 22 here, but we'll see. Next, I know he's looking for a kicker. So I know in his mock drafts that I've seen, uh, he's found Bates, the kicker from the Lions. That dude's got a leg. Um, that dude has a leg. I loved him when he was on the Michigan Panthers. It was nice, like for the XFL. That dude's got a leg. I love a good field goal, and just because Michigan has some emotional stuff behind it, like to me, it's like okay, I think Michigan's gonna be my team. Um, let's see here. Yeah, so the rookie kicker for Minnesota, Ryan Chard, gets picked up here, which I could see that if they drive down the field, I could see them kicking a lot of field goals, but usually Minnesota Vikings and kickers don't really go eye to eye, or they'll let go of the kicker and then he goes and does somewhere else. I'll use a great example. Uh, Daniel Carlson, great example there. It's just kickers have just been like the Achilles heel for the Vikings. Um, Mooney goes next, and then Myers goes here. He goes with Myers this time. I thought that was a good pick here because Myers has been like a top five kicker, I think, past few years, and he picked him. I know he had him last year when doing this, and Myers was pretty solid when it came to points. So he scored, like I said, he had Myers in here. He scored a lot of points. Why not? This is coming here now. I don't remember if he picked up a kicker or not. Said it's been a couple hours. Raid's fried at this point, but he didn't. But he picks the Dolphins kicker in Sanders. Um, from what I know is that Tua always starts out hot, and then like, for the first half of the season, and then he falters at the second half of the season. And looking at Sanders' game logs and stuff like that, he starts off slow to start the season, but then he's getting double-digit fantasy points for the second half of the season. Bates goes to Game Over for You. Pretty solid pickup right there. Um, pretty solid pickup there. Uh, I'm going to enjoy. I can't wait to watch this guy kick the football. And it stinks Marvin Bagley got hurt, but that's part of the NFL. And I was like, finally, this guy's going to get a chance to shine. Bucky Irving goes next. They could take some of that workload away from Rashad White, but I don't see that happening here. And then it's the last round of the draft, so not much of these picks matter, but for some people, so I could see if they've already picked their kicker and defense and stuff like that, I could see a lot of these guys go into auto draft here. So I can see a lot of it going to auto draft here. So we'll see what happens here. We got about 15 seconds here. And we got the 6. We got 4. We got 3, 2, 1. Boom. And we got the Commanders defense here. So defense has been picked up. Commanders defense, which I'm sure he didn't have his phone at the time. It could have been a situation where he got busy and something happened. But I'm pretty sure he got rid of the Commanders defense and went with a different guy at this point. But we're getting close here. Kyle's turn next. He's already got his kicker. He's the Texas defense. I could see him going Allen here at this point if he picks. Otherwise, I mean, it seems like he's pretty set at receiver, but he could go receiver here. Who knows? At this point, I'm looking defense. I see Kansas City here. Eagles, I'm staying away from. Seahawks, I'm staying away from. Tennessee, unfortunately, we've been in the bottom portion, and I'm not drafting the Giants defense at this point. But I'm still, Kansas City is intriguing to me. So I'm looking at Kansas City, a 15th ranked defense. I'm like, okay, maybe. They're still going to be solid. This defense is still going to be, whatchamacallit. And then I'm like, let's just see who's got the higher points or whatever. And it's like, oh, this being where is a glitch here? Detroit was interesting to me, but they were the 25th defense. So I'm like last year, and I'm like, no, I can see him taking a big step, but going from 25th to like 12th is interesting. And Buffalo has been pretty consistent this whole time. So, but Ertz went next. Zach Ertz went next. So you get a starting tight end there. Uh, you get a starting tight end there. Excuse me. Um, you get a starting tight end there. So Ertz goes here. Excuse me here. I'm sorry. Um, Ertz goes here. Then the Rashad Bateman goes next. The Eagles go here, and then the Buffalo Bills go here to round out the draft. So you can pause it if you like, just to check out some things. But I'll just show you the teams for here real quick. So you get paused if you want to take a look, but these are the teams, the starters going into that week. Here's the guys on the bench too. You can pause if you want to take a look at it, and you can go through and see which team you like if you want. And already, already Panda Man's, it's all in the hips. Nice, all in the hips. So then we got these next two teams here. I'm going to go through them here. You can take a look at them. Dan's team is love or Game Over for You's team's pretty solid here. There's some upside down. There's some upside, but it's gonna bench to me seems like a lot of work. And then, like I said, I like Panda's team here. It's pretty solid. He's got good picks on the bench. Um, Meanwhile, Kyle's team's pretty solid over on this side. We got Obi-Wan Mahomey. Um, Here we got Pat Mahomes. His starters are looking pretty solid. His starters on the right side looking pretty solid. Defense or the bench could use a little work on both sides, but still pretty solid for here. Next for Witch Nasty and Matty Ice. These are the lineups here. A lot of upside on this one. Okay, a lot of upside. There's some upside here. It's still pretty good. Still pretty good. And then the final two teams here. You can take a look here. Bird Abides is still pretty good. Game Over for You, or not Game Over for You. Vegas Baddest Goat. But that is the end of the video here. So if you can, leave a like, subscribe, do all that. So thanks.